Some of you may know that I am part of a group called the Procrastinators, and we have a podcast called the Procrastinators Podcast, or the PCP. I regularly appear on that show, and the show needs to be edited by somebody, and we do it in rotation nowadays. But I've gone in a sort of weird direction with it. Not a weird direction, but I've gone in a direction with it, where I do more than I should, really. And I thought it would be interesting to show you exactly what I do, so that people get a better understanding of what it is I do and can praise me even more for what I do, and also for the other editors of the PCP to get wrecked and to see how it's done. So I have a notepad here with all of the info. So step 1 is record the PCP. Step 2, edit own audio. Now, editing audio, yeah, I don't need to go into it too much. The basic thing that I like to do is to compress and normalize my audio so that it is better and more useful, especially for the animations that I do later on. So I just undo the noise reduction. Audio starts off with the noise. In Audacity, you can go Effect, Noise Reduction, get noise Profile, like that, and then Control-A, select everything, Noise Reduction, and click OK, and that will use this silence, and then delete that type of silence from the entire thing, without affecting the rest of the audio that much. You can alter the amount and the sensitivity of this. First things first, you normalize it. Normalizing makes it so that anything that's clipping the mic, it just gets pushed into like an easily editable range. So it just pushes it down so that nothing is clipping, and if everything's really quiet, it brings everything up. So, it amplifies it so that everything takes up, the majority of the screen. Also, I guess this is not normal. Most people have this looking like this. I like to stretch it out so I can see the waveforms better. That's just a little gamer tip for you. So you would select the entire thing, click normalize, and it's basically you just press it. It doesn't take too long. Okay, so you can see that the waveforms got slightly smaller. That means that it was all pushed down by a uniform amount based on the tallest peaks. So that if anything was clipping, now that it's all been pushed down to around here, it looks like. That is important because of the next thing we do, which is compression. Now, compression is not something everybody on the Procrastinators podcast does, so sometimes I need to take their audio and then compress it myself to make it to sound better. The point of compression is to make the quiet noises louder and the loud noises quieter, so that everything's around the same volume. This is done heavily on radio shows, where people sound almost unhumanly clear, and that's just so that you can easily hear all the syllables perfectly that they're saying into the microphone. The compression settings, it depends, but I will show you what this does. This is just normal. Let's take a little bit. Let's take just this. If we compress just this, and with these settings, you can see that, it's all sort of the same. If we undo that, if we then compress and take the threshold all the way over here, you'll see that it's a lot harsher. Even the tiniest little noises down here have been bumped up, and now the noise is back. We don't want this, especially not like that. So what you want is to find a balance where the tiniest noises are not being pushed up too much, and the loudest noises are not being pushed down too much, because you still want some range in there. So bring this back to around here. I usually keep it around where it's, the further it goes to here, the better, but not too far, because if you do that, it's basically like you're not even doing anything. It's basically the same. So you want it around there, depending on how you speak into the microphone. The noise floor ratio, I don't really understand that. That sort of changes the angle. So, compress the entire thing, Control-A, then you compress it. Compression takes a lot longer than normalization. So, I'll just skip ahead. Alright, now it's all bigger. It's all bigger and it's more uniform. The reason for the uniformity is not just to make it clear, it's also very handy when it comes to the animation stage, and I will go more into that later. Now before we go, we normalize it again, because in compression, it might make the peaks go too high and clip the audio again. So you want to renormalize it, normalize before, compress, and then normalize again. You don't have to, but I made a habit of it, and it doesn't really take that long. So see, they're now pushed down, but they're pushed down uniformly. So, pretty good. I was gonna give it a little listen, see if there's anything completely terrible about it. There's no shows that exist that are good, and Deltarune is like, oh, this is like well written, there's a lot of fleshing out throughout. Alright, so that sounds all pretty good, so I'm gonna save that as an MP3, just like as an alternate version. I already did this. Alright, now that that's done, we go into the thing, we got all the people here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put the audio in the timeline. You put them all in there. Now, step 3, I wrote down receive other audios. Before I started recording this, I did get all the audios, but sometimes you have to badger people. Sometimes they just, they just forget about it, and that's fine. Except it's not fine. Don't ever do that. Stop doing that. Step 4 is sync audio and listen to the episode, marking important moments, cleaning stuff up, and cutting bits to make the convo flow better. So this is the once over, basically. You go through the whole thing, listening to it again, god damn, that's a long time, and making sure that if 100 people are talking over each other, you cut down the ones that aren't saying anything important, or if they're just trying to butt in and failing, like saying I, you can cut that. That's what I do. You don't notice because I cut it out, but there's more than you have seen that are in the thing. So first, sync them up. So this is a sync point. We always do this at the beginning of the podcast to sync up the audio, just to say a word that, is very easy to do. In Adobe Premiere, pressing S key changes whether this snaps or not. Just a little handy thing. You probably knew that. Useful to be able to see the waveforms, obviously, so you can line things up without actually having to listen to everything.
One more time. 1, 2, 3. Christ on this blessed Sunday.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to look for is the levels of audio. You can't tell exactly from these waveforms, because some of them are stereo and some of them are mono, how loud they are. So I look on this side here.
Oh, Tom Oliver is here.
So,
and
Tom,
I'd like to thank
Nate.
myself for being better than everybody. It's official. I just leveled up last night.
Yeah, so Tom's around there.
I don't work. I work for the other guy.
Okay, so Tom, I don't think his audio clipped, but it clipped the audio in general.
I work for the other.
So I will just bring his down just a little bit.
I don't work. I work for the other guy.
Alright, so everybody seems to be around this area, which is good. No problems. Nate is usually the one who doesn't compress that much, but he's also quite loud and consistently loud, so that's fine. Munchie is the one, I'm not trying to throw any shade, this is just like usually how it is. Munchie is the one that is like the wild variance of quiet and loudness. So let's see how his stacks up.
This is here.
The Procrastinators podcast, more like the Procrastinators phone in, because we're phoning it in. Unlike Toby Fox with his genuine creative spirit for making this game?
Okay, so Munchie's is like usual. He talks quiet and then he goes loud at certain points. This is usually fine because it's funny when it's like he bursts out into a big thing, but for the purposes of the animation, I like to have the audio be generally around the same audio level. So what I will do is, where's Munchie's audio? I will reveal in Explorer. It's just an easy way to get to the thing if you don't know how to find the files in your project. Now this is Munchie's audio. As you can see, big clips. So let's do the same thing we did before. Normalize, compress, normalize. Alright, so that took like 5 minutes to do that, and now this audio is much better. So what do you want to do after this? You want to export it. You don't want to replace the audio immediately. You just name it that, and then B just to differentiate them. Whoops, I stopped recording by accident. Basically, after that, I go here, into the Munchie, and I right-click on the footage, and I click Replace Footage, and then I find the second one, and select it. I already did that, I was just not recording it, but now you know what I'm doing. Alright, so here we have Maige's audio. She records in stereo. That's fine, there's nothing wrong with that, it just adds nothing, because there's no reason for that. So we can see multiple areas where Maige's audio clips. So obviously, first thing first, normalize. I could turn this into a mono track, but I don't really care. It's fine, it works the same way either way. Actually, this says processing first track of stereo pair. So this probably takes twice as long. Actually, let's cancel that. Cancel it. Let's see if we can find out how to change it from stereo to mono.
Free audio utility Audacity can be used to record audio in a variety of formats, or to convert existing audio file. Just drag any audio file into a window by clicking hold down the here and choosing split stereo to mono.
I wish, look at that. It's halfway through the video, and there he actually gets the fucking point. Don't be afraid to look up things when you don't know, but god damn it, be afraid of these fucking terrible, they all suck, all tutorials suck shit. Now, Maige's voice sounds quite tinny. This may be a result of her overcompensating with the noise removal, like removing too much noise and making some of the data, like, just crunch it away, just crunch it until it's gone. Or it may be her microphone. Regardless, I have a way to compensate for this by EQ, by bumping up the bass. I'll show you that in a minute. We're going to export this. We're not going to do EQ in Audacity because EQ in Audacity requires that you render it all and then listen to it. If I do it in Premiere, I can, listen to it as I adjust it to make it just right. And, it's just easier that way. Alright, so replace this footage with Maige B. So, what we want to do with this is we want to go to Effects, and Audio Effects, and EQ? Parametric EQ? There's so many different EQs, I don't even know which is the right one. Parametric Equalizer. See, that's why I hate everything. It's called Parametric Equalizer now. They just got rid of the EQ terminology. Alright, so this is EQ. What EQ does is, it's like the frequencies. So this is the high stuff, this is the low stuff. And you can change how much all that shit is, audio-wise. So what we want is we want to get rid of the tinniness of Maige's audio. So we get a bit where she's talking.
We're probably gonna hold on. Quickly, we're probably gonna say a lot of spoilers about this, so if you haven't played it.
Right. So we get that. We want to get rid of the high bits.
Oh wait, hold on, quick. We're probably gonna hold on. Quickly, we're probably gonna say a lot of spoilers about this, so if you haven't played it, yeah, just had to. Hold on, quick. We're probably gonna hold on. Quickly, we're probably gonna say a lot of spoilers about this, so if you haven't played it, yeah, just had to.
So I want to bump up the bass, but not too much. Alright, so that sounds a lot juicier. Just a comparison, we'll have it. We'll press the FX button to turn it off.
Making a new character. We're not choosing to play Kara or it's or Frisk or whatever. We are making a character, and then at the end of the character maker, it's discarded and says your choices don't matter. You don't choose who you get to be. So I think.
Yeah, that sounds a lot better. So now, aside from me and Jesse, which I should go over, we're about done with getting the audio looking right for each individual. Of course, we haven't synced this up, or mine, with the rest of them, so we're going to have to do that now. Now, when somebody is out of sync in a place you don't expect, like we synced at the beginning and then over here we just sort of slightly off, it could be that the audio file has stretched itself, or like shrunk itself, because of some bullshit. I don't know whether it's Audacity or a microphone or whatever, the file conversion type could be the reason. But it's good to check at random intervals to see that it is still synced up. So, with Digi's audio here.
And you're just like, did you know that I invented the That is literally exactly what it was.
Alright, so that seems in sync. That seems in sync over there. Let's move to right at the end.
There's artists in my head, but it was made a few days.
Alright, that's also in sync. Let's go right at the beginning. Could be that Digi just said the thing at a weird time. And it seems out of sync, but it's actually fine.
Game or something. Always I wanna be with you and
That's the
make
best fucking
believe
unicorn
you.
game. Only because of that song.
Alright, so this seems fine now. This is all good. Digi was just slightly off when he said the initial sync. Twink! That's there. That's the beginning.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Procrastinators Podcast.
That's what he says. Alright. So now everyone is synced. And begins the long, arduous process of listening to the entire thing to make sure that everything sounds good. God damn. So the process of going through the thing is basically just listen to it, and when there's something that sounds fucky, cut it out. I think the way to speed up this process is just to get to the bits where there's multiple people talking.
The demo at some point.
He said it.
So like this part, for example, I'm not going to record the whole of me doing this, but for an example, this is a good example.
Some point.
He said it's sort of a demo.
So there's 3 people talking. Mage says the same thing twice in a row, I think.
Well, he said he
So we can get rid of this.
He called a demo.
He said it's sort of a demo.
And now we got Nate and Ben talking. What is Nate saying? I don't know.
So I think that he did say things might change. He did call it a demo at some point. So I think that he did say things might change.
He did say things might change, and then Ben says,
Did he call it a demo? Okay.
so basically this thing that Nate says on top of that is superfluous, so now we can go,
Demo at some point. Did he call it a demo? Okay.
He said it's sort of a demo. So
Okay, fair enough.
so that's the sort of thing I would do, is I would find the most relevant that carries on to the next part of the conversation, have that person take the spotlight for that one moment, and then move on. Sometimes I lose, like, comments in the purge, but, that's what you gotta do. You can't have everybody have... I mean, sometimes I leave the raucous roughhousing in just because that's the point, because nobody's saying anything interesting, and the whole point is that they're arguing with each other, and to cut out everyone but one person would make not sense. But something like that, it's really just that people weren't realizing that other people were also talking at the same time. So that is what I do, and I will go through the whole thing. Would I record it? And then speed it up, speed lapse, time lapse, maybe. Now, in a situation like this, Ben said something that Nate also said, but he said it just a few seconds, like a little bit of a time afterwards. So having Ben and Nate both say the same thing wouldn't work when Nate is the one that talks for longer. But also Nate, like, having this gap here.
Every week.
We actually have, I think, posted...
Which is weird, so I would take this and just alter that. Put it all there.
We actually have, I think, posted an episode...
Oh, by the way, if you weren't sure, I'm pressing spacebar to play and stop, and scrolling the wheel to go left and right. And if I press and hold Alt and scroll, I zoom in. Just little tips for you, little tips for Adobe Premiere people. You probably knew that if you use this a lot. Okay, I almost forgot I was recording, but here's a moment right here.
The dick chariot ride.
Where they're talking about a dick chariot rider. So I put an M, tap the little M. I'll figure out what image that is. Just so that I can come back to this and be like, okay, that's for a show note. Like, the other show notes are like, Smash, pretty easy to figure out what to link there, and then Deltarune, obviously very easy. This is an image, I need to know exactly where that is. Or maybe I don't, but I put it in there anyways, it's just helpful. Now here I am getting to the voicemails. You can see up here, like, this is like a little more than a third, isn't it? Like, I'm not even 2/3 into this and we're only just starting with voicemails. It's a long fucking thing. It's a long, I'm gonna have to stop this recording just in case the file is too big. Also it's 3:30 a.m. I kinda wanna sleep, but I am awake. I don't really know what to do. I'll stop recording for now. And then immediately start it again. So that last clip ended at like 4 a.m. and I went to bed. So let's finish up step 4 and let's just keep going. Okay, so that's that. Fuck. So we have all of the podcast edited. Let's save that. Just save it. Just save it. Just save it. Okay, save it. Save all the time. So that's cleaned up. I could go over it again. I'm not going to. It's a long fucking thing. So, step 4. Sync audio and listen to episode. Marking important moments, cleaning up stuff, and cutting bits to make the convo flow better. Done. What's next? Step 5. Save each voice individually as an MP3. This is the part where we start the animation. Alright, these are all different in and out points, but that's fine. So this one. This is Nate.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another
So what I want to do is go export media. Make sure this is soloed, so it's just this. MP3. Call it Nate voice. Alright, and now that I've done that, I will explain why I'm doing that. In the next step, let's draw all the people. That'll take a while. Actually, let's explain this now. So step 5, save each voice individually as an MP3. Obviously, I edited this all together, and saving each voice as an MP3 is like, setting this in stone. This is the audio mixing that will be used for the animation. Once I do the animation, I can no longer edit the audio, because everything that comes up will be audible, visual. For example, if I realize that something sucks, and I want to cut it out of the audio, I can't cut it out of the video without chopping the video and making it cut weirdly to a different point. So this is done. No more audio editing after this. As I was editing it, I made sure to go back and re-listen to the bits I just edited so that they were alright, and hopefully it all is fine. Okay, so the next part is draw all the people. So let's do that. So now for the animation, obviously, I draw everybody. This episode we talked a lot about Deltarune, so I thought it would be nice to draw everyone in Deltarune style. And so I asked them what they would like to be, and here is the list. So let's draw, I guess. The hardest part is thinking where to put everybody, because I have to make sure that they're all a nice size, and also when I move their heads, there's enough space for them to go, "Wah!" And also, the background, what does that look like? So, with 8 of us, it's a lot to think about, especially since 2 of us come in later and don't necessarily take up real estate on the screen, so like this, not here. Okay. We have basically done the drawing. Now, if you noticed, during this I made the drawing and then I cut off the people's heads in a specific way so that I can the anchor point at the hinge can edit this happening to the audio, the volume of the person in question. So they all have a little different way of doing it. Sometimes I don't have it rotate, sometimes I have it do something else, but rotating is very easy. Making things move up and down or left and right, you have to, like, there's a special code, but anyway, let's get to that. So first, next thing, let's see what it says, because I forget sometimes. Draw the peeps, save images of the moving parts as transparent PNGs. Step 7. So let's do that. I'll do that. Alright, the next thing, on the ticket, put individual MP3s and moving parts into After Effects. This is where the animation begins. So open up After Effects. So in After Effects, if you don't know how to use it, it's basically, you put things in here, and then you drag them down to make compositions. Or you can just click New Composition. Different from other things, it doesn't start with a timeline. You have to make your own composition, and you can put compositions within compositions and all that. Anyway, so for this, we have the voices, voice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, and all bodies, head. We drag them all into here. So we got all these things. What you want to do, let's take digis, new comp from selection, that will make the composition the exact length of the file, otherwise it defaults to like 10 seconds or 10 minutes or something. So we got this, we right click on it, we go keyframe assistant, convert audio to keyframes. Now with a 3-hour file, this will take a while, but basically what it's doing is it's getting information of the entire audio track and converting the volume of the audio to a keyframe, which we can then apply to something else, such as the rotation value of a certain PNG, and that's what we do. That's what I do. It's done. So once it's done, click this little arrow here, go to Effects, and these are all the keyframes. First, get rid of left and right channel, because those are just duplicates. It's a mono track, means nothing. So this is all the keyframes in a row. Well, we got Digi's voice, so we need Digi's head in this composition. There he is. Oh, this composition's the wrong size. Let's change that. 1280 720. Frame rate 30, that's fine. Blah blah bleep 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 blarg. Exactly 3 hours? Can this not go longer than 3 hours? Is that what this is telling me? This is interesting. Yeah, it stops at exactly 3 hours. Okay. Oh, all these fucking cunts. I can't even think of a possible scenario where I'd need more than 3 hours in a comp, to be honest. Why don't you fucking die? Completely unhelpful.
You how to extend the timeline of a composition in Adobe After Effects. First, we need to put in hours, minutes, seconds, and frames so you can get some quality detail here. Let's say you start your video, you want it to be 2 minutes long. And you click OK, and you hit down timeline, you can see the lower 2 minutes. And you're happily animating away, you're putting in loads of different effects, it's fantastic. Then you realise it's just not quite long enough. Well, you need to extend it, so the way you do that is to go over to your composition, then you right click on it, go composition settings, and then you just have the same dialog box as before, and you just click on it, it's 2 minutes, then 3 minutes, or whatever you want. Then you click OK, and your timeline is extended to 3 minutes. I've been Adam from DoingADrama.com, and I've just shown you how to extend the timeline of a composition in After Effects.
Fuck you. God, fucking... Yeah. It's too funky. Okay. Okay, so it turns out you can't make a composition in After Effects longer than 3 hours. I don't know why, but that's just the limit. So, all of these are longer than 3 hours, but the ones that aren't I can do right now. The other ones I'll have to take the MP3, put it into Audacity, cut it in half, and then do 2 compositions for the things and then stitch them together afterwards. Oh, I don't know. So that means the podcast, if it goes over 3 hours, that means I will not edit it, regardless of whether anyone else can, because I am not doing that. But I have no choice this time. I have to do it this way. That's just how it is. So, let's try, instead of that one, let's try my one. New comp from selection for the Gib voice. Convert audio to keyframes. This will take less time than the Digi one, but it will still take time. When it's done, we will come back. So there's my head. So the first thing to do is to change the anchor point, because if we were to go in and transform and then change the rotation, it would rotate around the anchor point over there. So we don't want that. We want it to be on the anchor point right on the hinge, where we want the hinge to be. This is basically the hinge. So you can drag these things to just get it basically right. Now here's a neat trick. If you want to get it back there, because you need to move the position, you just type in the exact same numbers that are for the anchor point. And it should snap right back to where it was. And so now when I rotate, it is like ha 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 ha, hee 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 ho ho ha, ho hoo hoo hee. That's me. Here's the magic. Here's what happens. We have the audio amplitude keyframes. So the left and right channel, we do not need those, we need the both channels. Now what we do is we hold Alt. Alt-click on rotation. This makes this thing, the expression bajingas. And this Pickwick Whip Pips is what we need. You click and drag that, and then you apply this to the slider of the audio amplitude. What this has done is auto-made some code. So now, my audio will influence the rotation aspect of this image. And if I just play a little bit, or if I scrub through, you can see that it does move a little bit. So that's fine, it's working. But it's not the right direction. Well, that's easy to fix. You just go to this code, you put a minus before it, and then suddenly it's inverted and it's going the other way. It's really quite amazingly simple. This is the cryptic 24-hour thing, and it was gonna coincide the Smash. Ooh, Susie is gonna be in Smash because Deltarune's new, and it's like a promotional thing. Ooh, it's confirmed. I want it. Yeah, I want it. Now, doesn't go much, doesn't go big, because it's a one-to-one thing. What I usually do to make the movements more exaggerated, for funny effects, is that I go to this, the audio amplitude thing, and I alt-click on this to open up the code for this bunch of stuff. So this is, you can type in ease, parentheses, value, comma, 0, 0, 0, 0, with commas. And what this is it's an ease expression, and the value is 0, 0, 0, 0. I'm bad at explaining. Basically what this does is, if I put in from 0 to 10, 0 to 90, what this will take is the value from the audio, the keyframes, this is the first two numbers, the keyframe value from 0 to 10, and then where it's going is the rotation. It will go 0 to 90, so it's turning, it's converting these value into this other value. I'm bad at explaining it, but let me just show you. So we can see immediately it's moving more. Ooh, waifus. Welcome to episode 2, waifus. Now that we've done episode 1, episode 2, waifus, my new waifu, Susie from Deltarune, haha. So, you know, that has increased the amount because it's basically like, it's taking all the values from 0 to 10. I don't know the highest value. Let's just say it's 100. So it's taking the values from 0 to 10 and stretching them out to be 0 to 90. if you can imagine that in your head happening, like you've taken 0 to 10, you're stretching it out to become 0 to 90. I'm sorry for my poor explanations, but that's basically what it is. Now this is too much. We want it to be a little less extreme than that, so let's go 0 to 40. So the audio from 0 to 40 gets converted to 0 to 90, and those numbers get put into this, and I put 90 obviously because I don't want it to go beyond 90 degrees, because then it looks a little... Undertale take. I love Deltarune because... Alright, so that's not enough. Go 30. Other characters are nice and cool, and it's really cute and stuff. Undertale, here's my hot take. I think Undertale's strengths were always the characters. Alright, so that's pretty good. I'm gonna change it just to 26. Susie from Deltarune, haha. So that's cute. That's just about enough. You know, bit crazy. Doesn't go completely to 90 degrees, but it also doesn't mumble and move hardly at all. And this is why the audio being roughly the same volume is helpful, because if all the volume... We want it to be as binary as possible, but not completely binary. So, you know, obviously variations for, like, loud voices have bigger mouth movements than small voices, but you don't want the variance to be too high, because then when you ease it, it's either completely open all the time or hardly opening at all. This is the worst fucking thing of all time. I'm trying to record, there's a dog barking, there's fireworks going off. I feel I'm angry because of the fucking After Effects bullshit, can't go over 3 hours shit, and I have to fucking render a bunch of MP3s again. This is hell, and I'm in hell, and this is the worst thing of all time. Let's continue. So, we've got effects. We're gonna do that. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna get rid of the bush channel, and then we gotta put the Jessie in there. We gotta put Jessie. We'll put the all bodies in there. We'll take the all bodies out, but we have them here just so we can orient ourselves. So, anchor point. The anchor point is sort of by the hair, just under the ear. So we put that about there. And then we input the exact number of the anchor point to get it back to where it should be. And then, Alt-click, rotation, pick, whip, slider. And since Jesse's facing this way, I don't need to minus it. And here he goes.
Or something. I don't know. Somehow, it got revealed that this lady working at the carnival game had a kid of her own.
Alright, and then again we ease this. We don't need to ease it that much. Value, comma. So 0 to 90 again. And let's say... Let's try 20. Just see, that's probably too much.
I was like a little kid. I was like 7 or 8 years old. Just a little, stupid little bastard baby shit.
Looks good. So. Oh boy. How's this gonna work? I guess the easiest thing to do right now would be to render these by themselves and then redo the whole of the rest of everyone's MP3s, make double compositions. That's gonna be a fucking nightmare, but I'll do it while this is rendering. So, let's get a Jessie voice. So this is basically what it is a little thing of the Jesse's head moving up and down to his voice. So what we want to do is we want to add this to the render queue. Add composition to render queue. So now we got Jesse's voice in the render queue. We want to change the settings, because this is not perfect. This is usually fine. But the output module. This is the important stuff. Pay attention to this. Alright. AVI? No. Never. Never ever use AVI. AVI seems to be made to sell hard drives. I don't understand why it exists. Do not ever save anything in it as AVI. Probably you know that. Anyway, QuickTime is the one you want. And you want specifically, if you're doing something like this, to do RGB plus alpha. That will essentially make the background transparent. And when the background is transparent, that's a whole lot of pixels it doesn't have to even think about rendering. So it takes a lot less space than if you had, black there. And obviously it'll be hard to cut out the black afterwards. So you want it to be transparent. You don't want to composite all of the animation in this one thing. You want to save it as a transparent RGB plus alpha QuickTime movie. So the format, animation, that's fine. Audio you don't necessarily need if you already had the audio, and then you click OK. So that's the settings, and then you just decide where it goes. I have this in a specific After Effects folder, so I can just find it. 132 Jesse. This is the quickest one. It will not take that long, so let's render this. So after this is rendered, I will do myself, and then I'll have to go and chop everyone else's MP3s in two, so that neither part is a full 3 hours, and then make a composition for the first half and a composition for the second half, making sure to keep the animation location absolutely identical for both, so that there's no jump. And then I will just do what I did with Jesse's head right here for everyone else's head. And I'll cut the video now, and then we'll suddenly be there in the future, where we will have everything ready for premiere. Okay, so I cut back to here, we're half done with this part of this thing. I've done the compositions. Let me put them all into a new composition. The way I would do this is I would right-click on a composition already and make new comp from selection, so it would be like a composition made up of compositions. This is just a way to have things be rendering at the same time. Digi. Okay, so these are the 6 people at the beginning of the episode. I and Jesse come in later, so I've already rendered me and Jesse, so that's fine. So let's have scrub through this. You can see that they're moving. Just get to the beginning, just see what happens.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Procrastinators Podcast.
Yes.
I'd like to thank myself for being...
Wait, what the fuck? Okay, these are all not synced with each other? What? This is no longer a fucking tutorial. This is like what is happening to me. This is a cry for help. Okay.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Procrastinator.
Yeah, I think there's demons in my computer. I'm not sure. There's demons in After Effects. There's some sort of demon. When you go to demon, you gotta find a priest. So I'm just gonna go, cut the video. I'm gonna go find a priest, and we're gonna come right on back.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to an episode of the Procrastinator.
Don't worry, that is actually just playback issues. It doesn't sound like that in real life, but it is very funny. So in a cruel, I don't understand what happened. 3 of these are timed perfectly together, and then the rest are timed as in like the sync test. Like, I cut everything down to here, and this is what I rendered of every MP3 of every person. But apparently, some of them were, like, from before. Only 3? And I have no idea how that happened. And I don't remember that happening, and I don't even know whether it even happened. I think it's just a demon. And, I'm just gonna kill something. I gotta kill something, dog, cat, one of those animals. Something's gotta be around here. Strangled to death. Subscribe to my tutorials. So what I'm gonna do, to alleviate something, just a little bit of my worries. So I'm going to render these 3 first, and then figure out what the fuck to do with the rest later. So if I go Digi's voice, new comp from his selection, then I put in the offending parties Munchie and Tom.
Oh, yeah, what
What's happening?
I'm
It's
recording too.
Yeah, I'm sync. Yeah. Christ.
See, this is not the PCP that you want to hear. What the fuck happened there? When I made these MP3s, these were all like sliced in half, right? Perfectly in half. Of the entirety of the thing. I went from the middle to the beginning. But this is not the original MP3 that they gave me. This is the MP3 that I saved from when I edited everything. And it was like this. It didn't go back here. How did this happen? Alright, where are we? Oh yeah, I've got to put individuals into After Effects. What does it say next? Work the keyframe magic, yeah, that's what I'm doing. Render the head bubbles as a transparent QuickTime.mov, that's what I did for me and Jesse, and now I'm gonna do it for the fucking... these guys, and then I'm gonna redo all of these fucking MP3s and then do these guys, and then I've got to do them again, because this is only half of their audio, and only half of their audio. So, you know, it's already 10 PM, I haven't even fucking started putting things together, I have no day, I have no week, I'm never fucking doing this ever again. So, step 10. Alright, so for whatever ungodly reason, I can't get Tom's audio to work in After Effects at all. If I go to... well, I deleted it because I was so mad. If I make new conf from selection, we just go to the first bit that he says anything. It's like 9 seconds in.
It's official. Last night, and leveled in all of you. It was great. It feels good. Deductions? No. I don't work.
It's the same every time. The file sounds fine if I play it in Winamp or anything, or if I put it into Audacity. It is completely unknown to me, unknowable, what the problem with this is. So I'm just gonna have to render it 100 different times in Audacity and fucking Premiere and anything else, because it sounds fine, but when I put it in here, inexplicably, doesn't work. Now Munchies and Digis do work, but Tom's is the last one. I need Tom's to work so I can do the rest. But in the fucking meantime, let me show you a little fucking tip and trick. When you're dragging things from your area that have audio and video, you don't want to get rid of some audio sometimes. What do? It's a hassle to go all the way down there, and it's like, oh, what? You click this. This means video. Visual 1, audio 1. This makes it so that there is no audio that comes. And then you can click audio. You know, you can click where it appears on the thing in comparison. If I just undo that. If I do that, like when they're there, they're together, and then they're mirrored. But when I do this, they appear like this. But if I don't want the audio, just do this. There they are. Now, just for fun, just so that I feel like everything's alright, I'm going to put in me, where I come in, and Jesse, where he comes in. Just so that it feels like it's coming together, even though it's been like 24 hours and I haven't really made any progress because of unbelievably long rendering fucking rendering times. Welcome to episode 2, waifus. Now that we've done episode 1... Okay, it didn't do the beginning. Why didn't it do the fucking beginning? Is this one? Is this bit here? Is that it? Oh no. No, I'm gonna have to do that again. I'm gonna have to do the whole thing again. There's so many. This is an unprecedented amount of fuck-ups. This is an unprecedented amount of failures and unknowable mistakes. things not rendering properly, things not saving properly, things not loading properly. It's probably more than like 8 hours at this point of just sitting here waiting for things to render so that I can do something with them. And then sometimes those hours are spent for no reason, and now I have to re-render this one. Okay. Alright, well, let's see if Jesse is okay. Let's see if Jesse is fine and dandy. Over here, there he is. It starts around here. Just put it... Let's see. Let's turn that off.
Jumping in. I have one.
Oh my god.
Oh my, hey, it's the man. Alright. Hit us up.
I'm jumping in at like the last 5.
Okay, that one's good. That one works. So I don't need to worry about that. I don't need to worry about part 1 of this. I just need to worry about me, and I just need to worry about part 2 of this, and part 1 of the others, and part 2 of the others. And, you know, what's another entire day spent on this fucking thing? What's one more entire day? Nothing, really. Okay. I'll cut back when progress has been made. Hey gamers, just popping in right now to tell you that there's another big fucking problem. The B side of Nate, Mage, and Ben, doesn't have Ben, because his audio got fucked in the same way that Tom's audio got fucked. And what I had to do with Tom's audio was I had to render the thing as a WAV file, and that fixed the problem of it stuttering and not actually existing properly. So that's what I needed to do with Tom's, and I rendered that, and that's fine. So I have something. What do I have? Let's go over what we have. Oh, by the way, I made a grid. I made a grid that goes across the, like, in the battle scene. There's a grid. It's just purple squares going down left and up right or something. You know. Anyway. Yeah, it was easy to make. Well, actually, it's not easy to make. Let's go into this. This is not easy to make. This is a nested sequence of nested sequences. Basically, I have, let's say this, zoom it up. So basically, I have an image that is just a bunch of squares, and then I have to find a bit where it loops, and it's seamless. Where it gets back to the beginning. This is just, I had to manually move it around until it looked right, by having itself layered on top, so I could see it, and then moving it around and being like, okay, that keyframe there, and then putting the keyframes in the right place, and then having them loop. And then having 2 of them, and then, you know, they're different, going in different ways. So that's that. Then you loop that by, right click on anything, and you go nest. And that if you highlight everything, and you click nest, that will nest the sequence. I don't want to do that for this, because it's already in a nested sequence. And that's really, I don't know whether it's a bad idea to have nested sequences inside nested sequences, but this is just so I don't have to copy-paste it a billion times. I can just copy-paste it 1, 2, 3, and then a bit at the end. So that's the grid at the back. So far, what we have is we have the beginning of Nate, Mage, and Ben. Then we have me, which I fixed. I continue, and then Jesse is there. So, let's go here. We have... who do we have? Digitom and Munchie. So Digitom and Munchie A. Digitom and Munchie A. And presumably it will just work if I do this.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Procrastinators Podcast.
Deductions?
Like
no. I don't work. I work for the other guy.
Okay. Ben is here. Ben sings. Yeah.
Oh, hang on. Digis is fucking desynced. You know, it's funny. Every time I do any of these little recordings, I find a massive problem that's going to result in hours upon hours of re-rendering. This is not editing. This is rendering. This is... have a week to spare. I don't have a week to spare. I needed to get this done today, And now I'm going to be spending another 12 hours tomorrow working on this, and it's not going to be finished even then, and I'm going to kill myself because I don't have the time. Let's just see that that's actually the case.
Ben is here. Ben sings.
Yeah.
Toil, you worms.
Okay,
That is
Mages and
quote.
Ben. Tom seems fine.
From Space Funeral. Yep.
But it's still dead.
I'm proud of myself for being awake in the daytime, but
Alright, so there's a way to solve this fucking huge problem, and that is to cut this out, make it its own thing, and then shift it time-ways, so that Tom and, well, let's see if Munchie's in sync as well.
The Procrastinators podcast, more like the Procrastinators phone in, because we're phoning it in, unlike Toby Fox.
Okay, so it looks like both of these guys are desynced about the same amount, so Tom is the outlier, so we need to cut Tom out. So, here's what we do with that fuck. First of all, we need a bunch more timelines, video timelines. Let's just move this fucking shit way up there. You can't move it way up there at once. Okay, there we go. That'll be plenty. Just check that it's all still in the right place. Okay, so let's move this down. Let's copy it. And we take the opacity. We can just draw a little thing around Tom. Make sure it captures the entirety of Tom, so that it'll, when he moves his head, it'll go, just go to the edge of the screen. That should do it. So that's Tom. If we turn off this, they're gone. So, oh yeah, we gotta do the opposite for the other one. So this one has to just have the others. So we make it big as long as it doesn't have Tom in it. That'll be fucking fine. So that's that one. So now we have them. So this is the one that needs to be altered in time ways. So we just fucking move it until it looks right. And if Munchie and Digi are off individually, I will just do this again, and maybe even nest the sequences together, so that I don't fucking move them again. So, let's see.
Ben is here.
Right, Digi's laughter.
Ben is here. Ben sings.
Yeah. Boy.
But it's still dead.
I'm proud of myself for being
You gotta get a better look at that.
After dark, but it's still dead.
I'm proud of myself for being awake in the daytime for once.
Yeah,
It's not glamorous, but it's happening.
That's true. And Munchie is here.
The Procrastinators podcast, more like the Procrastinators phone in, because we're phoning it in, unlike Toby Fox with his genuine creative spirit for making this game.
Oh, this game? It's funny how Munchie says we're phoning it in. He has no idea what is happening to me. I'm not phoning anything in right now. Anyway, so that's the amount that it was off. That's a fucking mistake. I don't know how that happened. So we just crunch the numbers. We munch the numbers. Put Tom back in there. Nest them. Make them one. We call it Tom, Digi, Munchie, A. Because that's the first half of Tom, Munchie, Digi. And there we have it. We have the beginning of the podcast, then I arrive, and I think I say stuff, and then we need the end of the fucking podcast. So this is the next part of the show, where we try and do that. Right now we're rendering the Nate and Mage of the end of the podcast. And so I will need to make the rest. So step 10. We're still on step 10. What's step 11? Put head bubbles files into Premiere. They should line up. Yeah, they should. It was all so easy. Once upon a time. Back in the beginning of the video, when I thought this would work. Little did I know, days later, it's not fucking true. What's step 12? Edit in the voicemail? Oh, fuck's sake. Hey guys, welcome to another day. It's all fine, it's all good. I'm working, I'm doing it. Here we go. What's happening? It's a brand new day, it's a brand new afternoon, I guess. It's 1 p.m. But I've just started the final little render of Ben Saint. Because this, for some reason, didn't work with the other two, Nate and Mage. And I've done everyone else. That's Ben, second half of Ben is rendering. And after that, I will put him in, and he will be the finished. But what else can we do while we're waiting for Ben to render? This is what you should be doing whenever something is rendering, is thinking what you can be doing also at the same time. Step 12 is edit in the voicemails. Now this is the reason I put the markers in, obviously earlier. It's like I listened to it, marker, beep, 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 beep. These are where all the voicemails are, so all I need to do is go to the marker, hover at one spar, that's one spar there. What's this one? I just want to play video games, that's the topic. So I think one spar is the first voicemail. So, Nate deals with the voicemails, he's the one who plays them, collects them. So he gave me a zip file with all of the voicemails in, so I will open that and put that in the project. And all I need to do is put them in. The second thing I will do, or I can do, get the audio from the voicemails, save that as its own MP3, and then also animate a little something on the screen to pulsate or move, depending on the voice, so that we can oh, there's another person. I don't have any brain power to come up with anything clever, so I'm just going to put a little Undertale Deltarune heart around about here or here, and it's just going to get bigger and smaller. It's going to scale up and scale down. It's the same thing with the rotation. It's just, in terms of numbers, it's... well, I'll get to it. Now, I have actually had an idea, because it would be boring to have the heart just be in one random place, because you can see, there's spaces, so we could have one voicemail here, then, I don't need to change the After Effects file, I just need to move it in Premiere, change the hue to be blue or something, have it here, second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one, sixth one, seventh one, eighth one, ninth one. I don't know how many there are, but that's easily doable. Not a lot of work, and it would be thematically appropriate. Please God, recognize my smart talents, my talented smartness that I put into these things. I mean, you can criticize the art style of these isn't cohesive. But you know what? You're not cohesive, because I ripped you limb from limb, and there you are, dead, in pieces. Emotionally and literally. So there. Come on, Ben. Come on, Ben. Come on, Ben, with your funny little head. Do that. Render. Go. Come on. There we go. He's still rendering. He's still chatting away. Oh. We got the bodies here to put in. First of all, we need to get rid of me and Jesse. Because we don't appear until later, so let's save this. Then we gotta have me in there. And then we gotta have Jesse in there. Now also, for the benefit of editing how I and Jesse got on screen, we should do Jesse and me by ourselves, without everyone else, so that we can PNG it up, we can keyframe it up. Alright, so I think here is a good place for this to end. Then I'm there. And then my body comes in. So we cut it here. We have this and this together. Let's nest the fuck out of these. Not a subsequence. I mean, that's basically a nest, kind of. Okay. So we can move this up without having to do anything. We just position, normal position, and then we have it like this.
I kind of got the impression from chapter 1.
Procrastinators episode 2 waifu.
Hey.
And you know what could be funny? Is if we get the little heart, the voicemail heart, that can be round about there. You know, that's just where it is. But we can have it so that before I appear, you think that this is going to be down there. So we put that position. So it's just sitting here, sitting pretty.
And explore this to a more full extent.
Hey, there he is.
Oh my god.
Welcome.
Alright, so this is coming together. It's working. It's fine. It's dandy. And how's Ben? Ben's nearly done. Okay, so once we've animated the heart, we can do that. But let's see how Jesse appears on the scene. Now, we've got, what have we got? 7 peeps. That lasts for a while. Let's drag that out. Lasts until here. This is where Jesse appear. 8 peeps.
I can sum up.
I'm jumping in. I have one.
Oh my.
Alright, now Temmie is funny as a thing in that she moves stupidly in a way that doesn't make sense. So I think that's an opportunity here to do the same thing, because it's editing and it's easy to do. So, in fact, it's easier to make it look bad than it is to make it look good. So, Jesse's head appears, and we just make this. Oh, no. Yeah, that's why I had Jesse's individual body. You know, it's not that funny, but it's not funny either. It's just a pretty obvious thing.
I can sum up.
I'm jumping in. I have one.
Oh my god.
Oh my, hey, it's the middle. Alright. Hit us up.
Alright. Ah, and that's the sound. That's the sound that I love to hear. The sound of After Effects being done. Okay, so we can put the Ben in here. We'll do that after we have started the last thing, the voicemails. So we want voicemail voices and voicemail heart. Put them in here. Voicemail voices, new comp from selection. Shouldn't take too long because this is smaller than 3 fucking hours. So for this, we still need to change the anchor point just so it's in the middle. Because that's the point around which everything happens, including scaling. And then we change Alt-click on the little stopwatch, drag the swirly onto the slider, and then we'll probably have to ease the slider just a bit. Oh no, we want 100. See, 100% scale, to 200, let's say. So different values for different thingies. And look, we can see here, we got the timestamps baked into the MP3 file, or the WAV file, because it was saved from the thing. That's why those markers are useful, because they carry over to things like this. Alright, I don't care, so I'm just going to render this as is, and fucking see what happens. Okay, so while this is going, let's have a look at the stuff. So we put the voicemails in, do the After Effects thing for voicemails, that's what we're doing. Step 14, add the intro song and outro song, any additional context-specific animations. So that I was already kind of doing when I was introducing both of the people. Intro song and outro song, let's do that. Let's just do that. So the intro song is, nobody likes the intro theme. I'm just going to put whatever I want. What's this one?
Today in court, the man responsible asked for leniency, blaming...
Yeah, you don't give a fucking shit. I'm going to put that theme too. I always like this one more. It's my favorite, in fact. You know, the thing that would make this theme really good, because it's a bit long, this is why I don't often put it at the beginning. What would make it good is if there was like an animation to go along with this, so that it was like a section of the video and it wasn't just like, you know, nothing happening while the song plays. Then it would be like more cool, I think. More easily implementable in the beginnings. Like, oh yeah, the theme. I can't wait to listen to the whole thing. But since we don't have an animation, I might just have to put the beginning.
The illegal drug.
Hello everyone, and welcome back. To thank myself for being here.
Alright, so we need to make that quieter, and we need to... audio transitions, crossfade, constant gain, which is like basic getting quieter thing.
Episode of the Procrastinators Podcast. I'd like to thank myself for being here. Also, Tom Oliver is here.
Well, let's just quickly make an image with all of them except me and Jesse again. Put the heart in there as well. Oh no, wait, we can't put the heart in there. And then for the ending, because we have end cards that take about 20 seconds, I just count 20 seconds from exactly this point where it goes black, and then the things would show up. So, boom, 3, 56, 36, 52, 2, 12. That's about where it ends. Fade it out. Render final video, render video again, upload the, there's things to do still. But the main thing is that this fucking nightmare is nearly over, and, I can turn off After Effects. Hooray. Man, I really didn't expect it to be that bad. Fucking... Oh, you can't go longer than 3 hours? Fuck me right up! And we're back. So, the heart, yes. Just want the... I don't want the audio. Oh god, did I delete anything when I brought Ben in? No, it looks like it's fine. Okay. So there's that little thing there I can't go over. Oh la la, li 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 banana, hoo 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 hee hee banana, wah 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 wah. Oh la la li li lo 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 lo.
So as of the time of this podcast release, election season is officially over, and with it, a whole bunch of annoying videos about the importance of voting.
Correct.
I didn't see any of those.
But right now, I'm here looking up some... So as of the time of this podcast... So as of the time of this podcast release, election season is officially over, and with it, a whole bunch of annoying videos about the importance of voting. But right now, I'm here looking up some information about the people running for my local offices.
Alright. One final save. And then... render. So to render, export media. Obviously, this is not what we want. We want H.264. That's basically, you know, video. 1280 by 720. Frame second. Thought it was going to be 30. After Effects was 30. Okay, if this happens, we just need to go... sequence settings. Sequence settings. 30 frames per second. So sequence in and out. H.264. 30 frames per second. Progressive scan, which means there's no lines. If you ever seen like interlaced shit, it's just a bunch of lines where it does like one half of the thing and then the other half of the thing. Progressive is what you want. Square pixels, that's just generally what that's like. I'm gonna render at maximum depth. For something this long though, 1 pass is fine. Target bitrate 10, yes, it's probably more than enough, maximum. Just go down to... just do 9. Maximum render quality. See, I don't know what render at maximum depth means. I don't want this to take too many years. Alright, and let's see how long this is gonna take. Audio previews, alright, alright. That's not gonna take 20 minutes. There we go. So, I will come back to this after the entire day is finished. Maybe it'll take an hour. Maybe it'll take 2 hours. But that's that. So right now we're on step 16, render final video, but we have steps after this, so let's have a look at those. Render a video again through Handbrake. This is to make it quick to upload. I definitely want to do this. With such a large video, it's very much worth it. It crushes the quality a minuscule amount that you can't really tell. And it makes the video way gooder. Way smaller file size. Like, you can turn gigabytes into megabytes, you know? Very useful tool. It's done? Well, not quite. We gotta put it through Handbrake. 11 gigabytes. Pretty big file. We can make it smaller if we put it through here. So, open a single video file. And what will happen is it will be source. This is the source file. Destination, you browse, you put it, so like, just, I usually put HB at the end, so I know that it's handbroken. And what it does, first, picture, we don't want cropping, so like, get rid of these cropping. No cropping. Sometimes it does that automatically, sometimes it doesn't. Really don't understand what it's thinking. So 1280 by 720, that's how it should be. Video, H.264, frame rate 30. Now, this is the main thing. Constant frame rate, peak frame rate. What this means is that, well, as far as I understand, is that if you have a constant frame rate, nothing will happen, really. But peak frame rate means that the frame rate will vary a little bit, so as to save space. So if there's like a bit where nothing's really happening, you know, there's a few frames in a row that aren't like, or like the frames are sharing quite a few pixels, they're not going to render those pixels every time. They're going to sort of smudge them into the same frame, and you won't notice because it is the same pixels. That's how it gets rid of a lot of the file size. So that's what you want. That's the important part. Audio is fine, normal. Yeah, so you want to have it as an MP4. I mean, you don't have to, but you'd probably want it. And you just hit start encode. Upload MP3 to PCP Google Drive. This is just so that Tom can put this on iTunes, and so that people who click the link in the description of every PCP can just download the MP3 if they want. You know, I'm not going to show you how to log into the PCP. That's illegal. Can't show you that. But yeah, I'll come back to you when we're uploading. So now we've got them both. Let's just have a look. It's gone down to 1 gigabyte or 2 gigabytes. So from 11 to 2. That's a pretty good save. Now it is time to upload. Alright, now that I'm doing things, 69%, I'll just go over what I change. I copy the description from the last time I edited. I put the people's names who are in it, and the links to certain things. I schedule it for the right time on the right day. Hopefully that's correct, Friday. You know, I link the MP3. I upload the MP3 and I link it with a shortened Google URL link thing. That's, you know, all makes sense. And the last thing is the show notes. So if we go back here, you'll see that you might remember I put some things here. So what's this one? This one's something. This is a Dick Chariot Rider. So this is one of the images. So I didn't really need to do anything, I just take the URL. Upload the piece, yeah, done. Upload the video, yeah. Do the descriptions, get all the links right. Do the end cards, ad breaks, yeah. I don't need to tell you about the monetization. Schedule it for the other day, add thumbnail. That's it. And then we're back to this. So that is how I do an episode of the Procrastinators podcast. This video initially was supposed to be like, oh, I'll just show you how I do it, so that if you're interested in my process, you'll learn something maybe. It'll help the other editors of the PCP know how to be fucking sick like me. It will, maybe be entertaining. Instead, it's probably still entertaining, but I made it look terrible because of how many problems that I ran into. Problems that I don't usually run into. In fact, I've never run into. But now I know. Now I know in the future, if it's a long fucking episode, Tom can have it. Anyone else can have it. Not me. No. If you appreciate the work I do on the Procrastinators podcast, you can go to my Patreon and give me money. Yes. Also, I may have, in the process of doing this, done things that I didn't talk about because I do them so naturally that I didn't even think. I may not have even thought that I would need to explain certain things. But if there's any questions about what I did at certain times, just, time stamp it and say, what the fuck were you doing there? How'd you do that? And then I'll go into it if I know what I was doing. Thanks for watching. I really didn't need to make this video, I just felt like it. And there it is. Patreon.com/Hippocrit. Support me in my endeavors to do certain things.